Okay, so during the last few months, we have seen really great progress from open weight models when it comes to language and code generation. But one area where we haven't seen much progress is speech generation from text inputs. Proprietary models from 11 Labs, Cartesia, or DeepGrams are still far ahead of open weight models, but that gap is closing very rapidly, especially with this new model. So I'm talking about this new Chatterbox Turbo model from a company called Resemble AI. They have been releasing some really interesting open weight models. For example, listen to this.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. So, to give you more info about lower monthly payment options, could you tell me how much you owe on all your credit cards combined? Just a ballpark figure like 10,000, 20, 25, 30,000, or maybe more?
Now, the voice output quality is getting really close to the proprietary models. The best part, you can actually run this locally on your machine, and it has a very permissive MIT license. But it actually gets better. It has zero-shot cloning capability. So you need to provide a very small segment of audio, and it's able to clone that voice pretty accurately. It's also multilingual. And the good thing is that a speech segment in one language can be used to clone the voice in another language. They also use paralinguistic tags, which gives you a lot more control on the tone and realism of the audio output. You can add effects within the generated audio. So in the rest of the video, I'll show you how to set this up on your local environment. And then we're going to look at a code of how to use these different capabilities, including paralinguistic tags, cloning, and adding more realism to your audio. So with this release, they are releasing 3 different models with different capabilities. The Chatterbox Turbo is a 350 million parameter model. This is English only, but it has all the advanced features. Then there is Chatterbox Multilingual, which has the capability to generate audio in multiple different languages. And then a global Chatterbox model that has some exaggeration tuning built into the model itself. You can run these models both on CPU and GPU. On GPU, as expected, they are going to be much faster, but CPU is still usable, although not for real-time purposes. So if you want low latency, then use the turbo version on a GPU, but keep in mind you're going to be restricted to English only. Also, they're introducing Perth watermarking, which will enable people to recognize whether an audio is AI generated from this system or not, which is going to be extremely helpful. Okay, so before showing you how to set this up, let's look at a few examples. This is Chatterbox Turbo. So this is going to be English only. Now, these examples shows the zero-shot voice cloning capability. The way it works is that you are going to provide a reference audio in the form of a prompt, then the text that you want the system to generate, or speech that is going to be generated based on this text. So let's listen to this.
10-minute break for a shower. So you get the cherry BO. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Even fruit showers more often than this.
Okay, so that is the reference audio, and here's the output.
Hi, it's Jerry. I'm calling to sell you nothing. That's right. Nothing. No features. No.
Okay, so this is pretty incredible. Not only it's able to preserve the original audio, but also the expressiveness is pretty great. I'm going to put a link to this specific page so you can go through some of these examples. Now, if you don't want to set it up locally, there are some demos that you can try online. So here's an example. We have the reference audio.
Got it. Thank you for sharing that. To give you more info about lower monthly payment options, could you tell me how much you owe on all your credit cards combined? Just a ballpark figure like 10,000, 20, 25, 30,000, or maybe more?
So they recommend to have at least 10 seconds. For better results, you probably want a little bit more. Also, you want to have really high quality audio in. Now, here's the text. You are going to notice these paralinguistic tags. These are different sound effects that is going to be added by the system. So let's try to generate this. This is running on a free GPU, so it does take some time. Okay, so here's the output.
Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, we do have a new model in store. It's the Skynet T800 series, and it's got basically everything, including AI integration with ChatGPT and all that jazz. Would you like me to get some prices for you?
Okay, so as you can see, it was able to add those effects although in some cases it's not really prominent, but the voice cloning capability seems to be pretty great. This was a quick demo. Now let me show you how to set this up in your own environment. So I put together this notebook. Unfortunately, you can't run this notebook in Google Colab because the Python version that you need in order to run Chatterbox Turbo is 3.11. I believe Google Colab by default is running on Python 3.13. So you will not be able to run this on Google Colab, but the good news is that you can run these models even on a CPU. That's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So you'll be able to reuse this code. A link to the code is going to be in the video description. So first and foremost, we need to install the package. And the easiest way is just to install Chatterbox TTS. This is going to install both the Turbo version and the global as well as the multilingual version for you. Now, if you're running this locally, you also need your Hugging Face token. Here is where you're going to provide your Hugging Face token. We're going to import the login functionality and then just paste in your Hugging Face token here, and you are good to go. Next, I'm setting up the TTS Turbo. We're importing that here, then loading the Turbo version. I'm putting this on CPU. Since I'm running this on Mac OS, I can either use CPU or I can use the MPS. Then here's the example text that I wanted to generate in the form of a speech. It's going to generate the audio output. So based on that text, here's the output that it generated.
Oh, that's hilarious. Anyway, we do have a new model in store. It's the Skynet T800 series, and it's got basically everything, including AI integration with ChatGPT and all that jazz. Would you like me to get some prices for you? Oh.
Okay, so one thing, if you don't provide a reference audio, then it's going to use one of its existing audio and generate audio in that sound for you or that voice for you. Now, there are both male and female audio outputs if you don't provide a reference audio, but I haven't really found a way to control which one to get out of the model yet. If you know how to do that, do let me know in the comment section below. All right, so here are a couple of other examples. Now, you're going to see these paralinguistic tags that I'm adding. The Turbo version is not really reliable in terms of the tag generation. Sometimes it is more prominent and other times you don't even notice. So let's look at this example.
And then, you won't believe what happened next. The dragon, excuse me, the dragon just sat down and asked for tea. Can you imagine? A fire-breathing dragon wanting Earl Grey.
All right, here's another example.
In a world where AI has taken over, one programmer must rise against the machines. This summer? Just kidding. The AI are actually pretty friendly.
All right, so this is one way to control the output tone. Now, there is another version where you get fine-grained control without these tags. So for that, they have something called the exaggeration and CFG weights that you can tune, and that is going to give you a lot more control on what the output is going to sound like. This is the original Chatterbox, not the Turbo version. For example, for this same text, we're going to change the CFG and exaggeration parameter. So this one is going to be pretty mild. Here's the output.
Now let's make my mom's favorite. So 3 Mars bars into the pan. Then we add the tuna and just stir for a bit. Just let the chocolate and fish infuse. A sprinkle of olive oil and some tomato ketchup. Now smell that. Oh boy, this is going to be incredible.
Okay, now if you increase the exaggeration, then you're going to see some really interesting effects. And if you decrease the exaggeration, again, this is going to be more subdued. Similarly, if in order to control that, you will have inverse values for the CFG weights. So let me show you these 2 examples.
Now let's make my mom's favorite. So 3 Mars bars into the pan. Then we add the tuna and just stir for a bit. Just let the chocolate and fish infuse. A sprinkle of olive oil and some tomato ketchup. Now smell that. Oh boy, this is going to be incredible.
Okay, and here is the output if we calm it down a bit.
Now let's make my mom's favorite. So 3 Mars bars into the pan. Then we add the tuna and just stir for a bit. Just let the chocolate and fish infuse. A sprinkle of olive oil and some tomato ketchup. Now smell that. Oh boy, this is going to be incredible.
Okay, again, so far we haven't provided a reference audio. This is coming out of the model itself, which is pretty great. Okay, now let me show you how you can clone your voice using this zero-shot cloning capability. And it's very easy to do. So in this case, what I did was that I provided a reference text, generated some audio directly from the system, and then used that as a reference audio in the next phase of generation to generate the output, right? So now this is going to sound very similar because both of them are essentially coming out of the system itself. So let me give you an example of the input audio.
Hello, this is my voice that we will use as a reference for cloning.
Okay, so this is the same voice that was generated previously. And here is if we use this as a reference audio.
Welcome to the future of AI voice synthesis. This voice was cloned using just a few seconds of reference audio. Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Okay, so this is one way to control the audio output from the system. If you want a male audio, just generate some speech through that and then use it as a reference audio. Okay, so at the end, I wanted to see whether it will be able to clone my voice or not. So I provided this reference audio. It's from one of my videos. You have all the latest models available on their platform, or you can let it decide to use the best model for a given task. So this is about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now the results are pretty interesting, and I'll let you decide whether it sounds like me or not, right? Here's the clone text that we want. We provided that reference audio, and here's what it generated.
Welcome to the future of AI voice synthesis. This voice was cloned using just a few seconds of reference audio. Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Okay, so do let me know whether you think it sounds like me or not. And now, I did try to add the paralinguistic tags with it, but I made a mistake, and let me explain that to you.
Welcome to the future of AI voice synthesis. This voice was cloned using just a few seconds of reference audio. Pretty incredible, isn't it? Slav.
Okay, if you can see, it didn't actually consider these paralinguistic tags. And the reason is that I was using the original model rather than the turbo version. So this is the global Chatterbox model, which can use the exaggeration parameters, but not the paralinguistic tags. So then I tried exactly the same thing with the turbo version, and here's the output without any tags.
Welcome to the future of AI voice synthesis. This voice was cloned using just a few seconds of reference audio. Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Okay, and now after adding the tags, listen to this.
Welcome to the future of AI voice synthesis. This voice was cloned using just a few seconds of reference audio. Pretty incredible, isn't it?
Okay, not sure what it did with the laugh at the end, right? But overall, the speech generation capabilities are pretty awesome, especially that you are able to run this on your own local setup. The speech output definitely sounds a lot more natural compared to what we have been hearing from other open weight models. The voice cloning, you be the judge there. Okay, so this was a very quick overview and tutorial on this new Chatterbox Turbo model. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you are interested in speech technologies, I am going to be creating a lot more content on it because I think speech is going to be a very major focus from out of all these major labs, as well as some of these open source projects. Now, one thing which I did not like about a Chatterbox Turbo is that you need to use these paralinguistic tags in order to invoke certain emotions or effects. I recently created a video on Gemini text-to-speech API. There you can just instruct the model to add some effects the way you would do in natural language. You don't really need to use these special tags in there. If you're interested in that, I will put a link to that video. Go and watch that. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching, and as always, see you in the next one.